Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. It's been quite an interesting week of gaming this week, so we're finishing up my War Room list for the year as we play Black Orchestra by Starling Games. The twist for this year was that we could put 12 games on the list, but we only had to play 10 of them. I decided to go ahead and play all 12 of them anyway, even though I finished up my list when we did Silent Victory on Monday last week. So Black Orchestra, the ask, isn't too big in the grand scheme of things. Just assassinate Hitler in World War II Europe with the Gestapo and his main deputies harassing you at every turn. Nothing major. Just another ordinary Wednesday night. So that's what we're going to be trying to do here tonight. And as I mentioned, we've got the deputies harassing us at every turn. We've got Hitler up here, of course, the main man we're after, who starts in Deutschland Hall. His penalty is reducing your motivation by 1, which will make more sense in a minute. Then we've got Himmler, starting at Gestapo HQ, increases your suspicion by 1. Also will make, actually a lot of these deputies will make more sense in a minute. Then we've got Goebbels at the Ministry of Propaganda, who starts there. Cancel your special ability, which early in the game we won't care too much about Goebbels being in the space because he won't be active anyway. Hess is discard a card, starting in Hanover. Bormann, starting in Nuremberg, says you can't conspire, one of the actions you can take in the game. And Goering is to discard an item. He starts in Munich. And Troy and his boys played this once and really liked it. Glad to hear. It's actually a great game. And when it comes to stacking up theme, when it comes to evoking the theme, this is one of the best I've ever played because you really feel the tension throughout the game. Hopefully you'll stick around for this one. Anyway, we're also going to play with a variant in this game. Actually, I might have to zoom out so we can catch the military support and be able to keep an eye on that. Let's just go all the way up top. F it. I was going to try to zoom in and get cute on the board, but I think I'm just going to zoom all the way out so we can see the military support. More relevant right now, though, is that we're going to roll for what's known as the Trusted Lieutenant variant. Now, I don't know if you've seen one of my plays of this, Troy, but the way I play Black Orchestra with the Trusted Deputy, the Trusted Lieutenant variant, is it's a variant suggested in the rule book actually, but I put a slightly different variation on it than what's suggested. In the rule book, they suggest that you have to kill 2 of the deputies as well. For 2 players, which is what I play when I play this game two-handed solo, that's a big ask. Sometimes even getting 1 assassination is a big ask. So we're going to designate 1 lieutenant as a trusted lieutenant. And I've got a D4 to do that. You're probably asking, Phoenix Knight, you went through 5 deputies. Why are you only including 4? Because the reason I'm only including 4, I'm not including Hess. Because there are several cards in the event deck, which is, once I find my laser pointer, here we are. There are several cards in the event deck up here that can make Hess leave the board, so I don't include Hess as one of the deputies for the Trusted Lieutenant role. So we're going to roll a D4 for that. 1, our Trusted Lieutenant is Himmler. 2, it's Goebbels. 3, it's Bormann. 4, it's Goering. This year it's a 4, so our Trusted Lieutenant is Goering. I'm going to make a note of that in chat. Now what that means is in order to win the game, in addition to assassinating Hitler, I also have to nail Goering. But in theory, I can take out any of the other deputies if they start causing us a lot of problems. Goering, though, is the only one we have to take out to win the game. But let's meet our side, our conspirators who are trying to take Hitler and Goering out now. And I'm going to apologize in advance because my German is going to be absolutely horrible. So let's take a shot at this. We have got Wessel von Freytag Loringhoven, Wehrmacht Colonel High Command. Loringhoven served in the Latvian military and later joined the army of Weimar Germany. He became disillusioned with the Nazi regime after the Night of the Long Knives massacre and war crimes committed during the Eastern Offensive. He acquired the detonator charge and British explosives used in the 20th July plot. Loringhoven committed suicide just before being arrested soon after. Everybody will start off at timid suspicion with a dossier limit of 2 and medium suspicion. The suspicion will come into play when we talk about plots. And his conspirator ability, which Goebbels negates, but he can't use it until motivated anyway. Reveal cards from the deck, that would be the conspirator deck, until you reveal a plot or an illegal card. Add it to your dossier and discard the other cards. He'll be doing everything in blue. He's already up here at the train station. Timid suspicion, or timid motivation, medium suspicion. Teaming up with him tonight is Henning von Tresckow, Wehrmacht, Senior Staff, Army Group Center. Tresckow held a number of high-ranking positions in the Wehrmacht. Much like other conspirators, he turned from the Nazis in disgust over brutal infighting and later atrocities against the Jews and other groups. Tresckow helped orchestrate the failed attempt to bomb Hitler's airplane on its way back from visiting the Russian front. After the failed 20th July plot, Tresckow committed suicide at his post near the front, staging the attack to look like an attack by partisans to protect his fellow conspirators. His special ability, you can carry one additional item, which is what that slot is for, and as an action, he can collect an unrevealed item in his space. He'll be doing everything in green. Timid motivation, medium suspicion. So we've got everybody on the board. Let me see how everybody... Looks like you can see most everything there. So let's jump right into the action. We're starting off with Loringhoven. I'm not going to say Freitag Loringhoven, so I'm just going to call the first investigator Loringhoven. You check for Hitler penalties and deputy actions, or deputy penalties, but since there's nobody on the train station, we're all clear there. We can only move right now, since we're in stage 1, we can only move to any spaces designated with a 1, and I'll move the conspirators out of the deputies out of the way. We can only move to spaces right now with a 1 or a B. B being for Berlin. Let's see. So for action 1, Loringhoven is going to draw a card. He's going to draw Acts of Sedition. Action, discard this card to either lower Hitler's military support by 1, or all conspirators in your space, including you, raise their motivation by 1. Which action 2, he'll toss that to bring everybody's dossier limit up right away, which seems like a good thing to do. And action 3, he's going to move to the Sport Palast. We'll start revealing some of these items. We'll probably pick that up a little bit more after we get a plot out so we know what we're aiming for. And I'm going to move some of these items, or some of my stuff over here, out of the way. We'll get the tower out of the way. And we'll bring the dice up over here. The reason I'm doing that is in case I get the key event, there's a space over here on the board for at the side of the board for that. So I want to make sure I've got room in case the key event comes up in any of the phases of the game. So our first card up is Investigations Begin. Gestapo agents begin investigating suspicious persons. All conspirators raise their suspicion by 1. Oh joy. So we're already at high suspicion. Not exactly where we want to be when it comes time to assassinate Hitler, or even later in the game. That'll bring us over to Tresckow. Let's have him go action 1 up to the Chancellery. Action 2, he'll draw a card, so he will draw. Lone Gunman, we've got our first plot. We're in the same space as Hitler and at reckless motivation. Most of the plots require committed motivation. This one specifies that you need to be reckless. Optional elements, Wehrmacht, which everybody is, for an additional die. Weapons for an additional die as well. And then we can discard a badge to disregard an eagle. So that's our first plot. That was it was action 1 to move, action 2 to draw a card, action 3 we'll reveal the item here. So we will reveal a badge, which we could use which you could potentially use to disregard an eagle. Next event coming up, deputies deployed. Move Bormann to the Reich's top leaders are dispatched across Germany. Bormann to Hanover, Goering to Tannenberg, Himmler to Nuremberg. So Bormann to Hanover, Goering to Tannenberg, Himmler to Nuremberg. Okay. So everybody's just moving around a little bit. Over to Loringhoven. Action 1, he's going to reveal the item here. He will find intel. Action 2, he's going to move over to the Gestapo HQ. Action 3, he'll reveal the item here. He will reveal keys. Nothing we need yet. Then the next event coming up, the Anschluss. There's also text up here about if the stage's key event is in play. The stage's key event is not in play, so the event happens like normal. The Anschluss. Austria is peacefully annexed to Germany. Raise Hitler's military support by 1. Hitler and Goering to Munich. So Goering and Hitler to Munich, and Hitler's military support goes up by 1, which we're at 4 for that. 4 is the number that we'll be targeting to try to assassinate Hitler. Well, that would be right now, but we're nowhere near that. Over to Tresckow next. Action 1, he's going to grab the badge. And then we reveal text at the Chancellery. Let me zoom in on the board so you guys can hopefully read that a little bit better. It's not great, but you can at least see there is text on the space. And every one of these spaces will have text on them once you pull the item. In the case of the Chancellery, -2 suspicion, you only for weapons. So he's got the badge. Action 2, he'll move over to the Zeghaus. Action 3, he'll reveal the item here. He will reveal poison. And there's also, you might have also been noticing some letters on the items. Those are the plots that those are used in. I'm going to tip the camera down just a touch so we can capture everything there. And now we need a new event card for the end of Trescow's turn. And here's the key event. Neville Chamberlain negotiates a treaty with Hitler. Raise Hitler's military support by 1. Remove the next 2 Stage 1 event cards from the game. Don't reveal them. So the next 2 event cards from Stage 1 just got removed from the game. That's problematic because that's speeding up the clock. Okay. So now over to Loringhoven. Time, as you can see, is not on our side in this one. Action 1, we'll pick up the keys. The text revealed here is -2 suspicion, you only for intel. Action 2, he's going to draw a card, so he will draw poison food. So in the same space as Hitler, Hitler in any Berlin space. To get a die, optional elements, civilian, which we're not. Poison, we can discard multiple of those to get extra dice. And intel. Action 3, he'll move over to the Sportpalast. Next card coming up for the event, Berlin Speech. Hitler's military support to its starting value, which is not... I forgot to bump up the military support by 1, not that it mattered there. Hitler and Goebbels both go to the Sportpalast. Uh-oh. Hitler and Goebbels. Okay, so Hitler and Goebbels come to the Sportpalast. And all conspirators in Berlin lower their suspicion by 1. So everybody goes back to medium suspicion. And the key event moves over here. And the flavor text, by the way, was Hitler gives a speech to supporters at a local arena. Turn moves over to Tresckow. Action 1, he'll pick up the poison. Action 2, he'll go back to the train station. Action 2, he'll go to the Ministry of Propaganda. Action 3, he'll reveal an item. He will find another badge. Then we'll flip over a new event. We will find Kristallnacht. Outrages are committed against the Jewish community. All conspirators raise their motivation by 1. Move Hitler and all deputies to their starting areas. Well, that actually helps Loringhoven out immensely because everybody goes back to their starting spaces. And motivation is raised by 1. So now Loringhoven can use his special ability, as can Trescow, assuming Goebbels leaves his space. But we're over to Loringhoven next. Action 1, he will grab the intel. And the text that's revealed that Sport Palast is -2, you only for a badge. Action 2, he'll use his ability to reveal cards from the deck until he finds a plot or illegal card. We're getting a lot of good cards. Okay, there we go. Resistance Network. While in your dossier, lower your suspicion by 1 for each target rolled during any Conspire action. Discard this card if an eagle is rolled during any Conspire action, but eagles are checked before targets. So we do have to discard the rest, all of which would have been pretty good cards to see, but alas, no dice there. Action 3, he'll draw a regular, so he will draw Stockpile Equipment. Action, discard this card, choose an item from the discard pile and add it to your conspirator sheet. Next card for stage 1, Assassin Caught. Maurice Beauveau confesses his plan to shoot Hitler during a parade. The conspirator or conspirators nearest to Hitler raise their suspicion to high. Unfortunately, that's both of us because we're both one space away. So our suspicion goes up to high. And Hitler moves to the Chancellery. Okay, so Hitler moves to the Chancellery. Unfortunately, Goebbels didn't leave his space, so Henning Trescow can't use his special ability. Let's go action 1 to the train station, 2 to Hanover, 3 to Adlerhorst. That way I don't have to discard our lone gunman plot. Our next event card, Visit from Himmler. Himmler unexpectedly arrives for a top-level meeting. Move Himmler to the space with the nearest conspirator or conspirators. If there's only one conspirator on that space, and there will be, that conspirator may roll a die. On a roll of a 1, 2, or 3, they raise their motivation by that amount. On a roll of an eagle, they raise their suspicion by 2. That will move Himmler over to Loringhoven, and he's going to have to roll... We'll pretend we don't know what that item is. We won't be able to get to it until stage 7 anyway. So now we roll a die, and at least a 2 would bring us up to reckless motivation. But unfortunately, we're already going to extreme suspicion because Himmler's there. The target doesn't do anything. And an important thing to note here, you probably remember this, Troy, as you've played this before, but even though we're out of cards for stage 1, we don't actually enter stage 2 until we resolve an event from the stage 2 part of the act deck. That'll be the same when we're going into stage 3, when we're going from stage 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and so on. It is now Loringhoven's turn. His suspicion goes up to extreme. And by the way, for the event moving purposes, the Gestapo raid does not count for that. Alright, so I already moved Loringhoven up to extreme suspicion. Action 1. He's actually going to conspire. So the way conspire works is we'll bring the dice tower back in shot. He'll pump all 3 of his actions into this. Any targets go up to the descent track, and any numbers give us actions back. The Eagles would raise their suspicion by that amount, but we're already at full suspicion, so no penalty from the Eagles there. Let's see, I get 3 actions back and a target up to the descent track. So 3 actions back. And honestly, it kind of seems like right now it's just Gitfo. Where do we want to Gitfo right now if we want to do that? Action 1. We actually get to lower his suspicion by 1 for each target roll, and we did roll a target, so he goes down to high suspicion. Action 1, he's going to go to Deutschland Hall. Action 2, he'll reveal the item. He will find intel. And we can't use that. Well, we could use it at Gestapo HQ to dump suspicion, so I think I will grab it for that purpose. Now for stage 2. Speaking of the Gestapo raid, good thing I remembered about the resistance network. The Gestapo execute violent searches and raids against suspicious citizens. Perform the following steps in order. Conspirators at extreme suspicion are arrested. Still at work for 2 hours and still have answer 911. All good there, Troy. Hopefully you're enjoying what you're seeing so far, even though it's, well, I wouldn't say it's going completely sideways, but it's very early in the game, though. Fortunately, we're not nobody's at extreme suspicion. For each illegal card in a conspirator's dossier, that conspirator must choose to either discard it or keep it and raise their suspicion by 1. I'm going to keep the resistance network, because now that we're at extreme suspicion, there's really no penalty for that. And then all dice on the descent track get returned. So remember, we don't go into stage 2 yet, because we haven't resolved a card we haven't resolved an actual event yet from stage 2. Remember, the Gestapo raid doesn't count for that. Then over to Henning Treschow. For action 1, he's going to use his special ability to collect an unrevealed item, which he's got, so he will reveal a signature and grab that. The text at Adlerhorst says, -2 suspicion, you only for explosives. Action 2 to Tannenberg. Action 3, he'll do the same thing. He will find a map. The text there is -2 suspicion, you only for poison. So let's see what we find on a stage 2 event this time. Sudetenland occupation. Key event is not in play for the stage. The Wehrmacht occupies the German-speaking Sudetenland. Raise Hitler's military support by 1. So that bumps that. All of this goes back to the stage 1 discard pile. Actually, I'm going to return this to the box, because technically we don't need the stage 1 event cards anymore. And now we're in stage 2. So now we open up what I consider to be 2 of the most dangerous spaces in the game. We now open up the Berghof and Vienna. The Vienna is not usually bad in terms of being a dangerous space. The Berghof, though, definitely is one of the more dangerous spaces, because Hitler and his deputies like to go there quite frequently. So now we're over to Freitag Loringhoven. I think action 1, he'll move down to Gestapo HQ. Action 2, he'll discard an intel to knock his suspicion down by 2. And then action 3, I'll move him down to the train station. That way I'm not vulnerable to deputies return to their starting effects, because that would send Hitler up to Deutschland Hall, and that seems like a very bad plan to me. We also don't have any more Gestapo raids, because it's a little bit hard to see, but there are icons on here indicating how many Gestapo raids there could be in each stage of the deck. In stage 2, there's a possibility of 1 Gestapo raid, and we had it last turn. Actually, we had it 2 turns ago. Next event, Czechoslovakia invaded. Well, that didn't take long. Czechoslovakia surrenders to Hitler with little resistance. Raise Hitler's military support by 1, then move Hitler to Vienna and reveal the item there. So Hitler's military support goes up by 1. He goes to Vienna, almost probably feeling nostalgic for home. And then he reveals poison. Okay. That brings us over to Treskow's turn. I'll take a quick drink before I continue. Also give me a little bit of time to think what I want Treschow to do this turn. Let's have Trescow start with the Conspire. We'll dump all 3 of his actions into this. Target going up and 3 actions back. That's what Loringhoven got on his Conspire. Okay, action 1. He's going to move to... Actually, what is he going to do here? He's actually going to draw a card, because I don't like... Even though that Lone Gunman is a Wehrmacht plot, I don't like it requiring us to be at Reckless. So he will find... Stall Investigation. Cast, discard this card. All conspirators, including you, lower their suspicion by 1. Which action 2? That actually looks like a pretty good card to me. That'll keep our suspicion down. And action 3, he will draw another card. So Trescow will draw. High-ranking informant. Fast action, discard this card. That's what the lightning bolt is. If Hitler's military support is 5 or higher, add 1 target to the result of any plot attempt. Which right now it is 5, but we're nowhere near ready to go for a plot. We'll draw another card for stage 2. We will draw Anti-Semitic laws. All Jews are required to carry ID cards and passports stamped with a J. Excuse me. All conspirators raise their motivation by 1. So now everybody's committed, which means we could theoretically attempt a plot at this point. But we still need to find our items to attempt the plot. Actually, we need to get Trescow's motivation up as well if he's going to use his Lone Gunman. So we're over to Loringhoven. Where did we... Okay, there's poison in Vienna, but he's not getting to that. This turn, most likely. Choose an item from the discard pile. I've already got intel, so I'm not as worried about that. Let's go action 1 to reveal cards again until we find a plot or an illegal card. I'm not sure I'm liking our plots right now. Well, there's an illegal card. Forged release orders. Action and discard this card. Release 1 conspirator from prison, regardless of your location. Move the released conspirator to Gestapo HQ at medium suspicion. Action 2, let's run it back, see if we can find a plot. Okay, here we go. A suitcase bomb. You are in the same space as Hitler, and Hitler's in a fortified space, which we can tell by that icon. And we've actually got a couple out here in stage 1. Optional elements, Wehrmacht, which both of our conspirators are. Explosives, which I thought we saw explosives earlier. And a badge to disregard an eagle. Okay, we don't have explosives yet. So that was actions. That was all 3 actions, because we used the stall investigation as soon as we drew it. That's right. Event card for stage 2 is the Nazi-Soviet Pact. Hitler and Stalin sign a non-aggression pact. The Joachim-Ribbentrop Pact. Raise Hitler's military support by 1. Bormann and Hess to the Berghof, and this is why the Berghof is such a dangerous space. So Hitler's military support right now is 6. Bormann and Hess to the Berghof. And I just put the dice tower right back where the event was supposed to go. Right where the key event's supposed to go. Over to Trescow. Fortunately, he's got the ability that lets me grab an item in Gitfo. Action 1, he'll move over to Tannenberg. Action 2, he'll do exactly that using a special ability. He will find another badge. He's got a special ability that lets him pull both. Lets him collect an unrevealed item. Presumably you'd reveal it. Logically, that's what I'm going with. Action 3, he's going to nope right back out to Tannenberg. I was going to maybe send him up to Nuremberg, but I don't want to have an effect that says all starting conspirators go back to their start spaces. And then we find a strategy session. High-level discussions of military production take place. Himmler, Goering, and Hess to Adlerhorst. Goering, Himmler, Hess. Quite a party over there in Adlerhorst. Over to Loringhoven. Let's go... Action 1 to the Ministry of Propaganda. Action 2, reveal the badge. Action 3, right back out to the train station. This way, as soon as I can track down explosives, I could theoretically go after Goering. So let's see what we find here. Propaganda strategy. Top deputies meet to discuss a new propaganda campaign. Bormann and Goebbels to Munich and reveal the item there. Bormann and Goebbels to Munich, but there's no item there to reveal, so we kind of dodge a bullet on that one. And then over to Tresckow. Is there somewhere we can dump a badge? There is at the Sportpalast. Unfortunately, he can't get there this turn. What might be more valuable, I was going to say, is maybe putting the two of them together. I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to move 1 to Adlerhorst, 2 to Hanover, 3 I'm just going to reveal the item here. So we will find explosives. Ooh. Okay, that opens up our options. So let's see what we find here for a Stage 2 event. Visit from Hess. Hess unexpectedly arrives with special instructions from the Fuhrer. Move Hess to the space of the nearest conspirator or conspirators, which is up to Hanover, with Tresckow. If the conspirator is alone, they may lower their motivation by 1 to move to any legal space and lower their suspicion by 1. Well, I was going to say the plan was going to be to pass the badge off, but in theory, if I'm willing to try a plot now, actually, he probably is going to go ahead with that because we're not ready for his plot yet. So he's going to lower his motivation by 1, to also lower his suspicion by 1, and move to any legal space. Where do I want him to move? I'm going to move him. Let's see, you can't use multiples on the badge. I'll move him to... Let's move him up to the Sportpalast, just in case I get an event that I need to toss an extra badge to lower his suspicion. Back over to Loringhoven. Action 1, over to Hanover. Action 2, grab the explosives. Action 3, Gitfo. That way, if Goering stays put, I could theoretically send Loringhoven after Goering this turn. Let's see what happens here, though. Invasion of Poland. The Wehrmacht enters Poland and the Free City of Danzig, and this is the stage's key event, which raises Hitler's military support by 2. So we're definitely not going anywhere near trying to assassinate Hitler this turn. That's also the stage's key event. Excuse me. Over to Tresckow, who's now only motivated, but that's still plenty. Action 1, he's going to draw a card, so he will draw. Derail train, another plot. You can only attempt this plot immediately after an event card moves Hitler. You must be at committed or reckless motivation to attempt the plot for a die. Civilian, intel, and map are your optional elements. Loringhoven's got the intel. So we've got options for a plot, which we could theoretically try that. Actually, no, we couldn't. He's not at committed motivation to be able to use it. I'm using the fancy hand wavy signals to help me remember what I was trying to say there. Let's see, that was action 1. Action 2, he'll draw again. So he will draw. Military secrets. Action, discard this card in Zurich or Stockholm to lower Hitler's military support by 1. Which Zurich opens up in stage 3 down here, which we're near. Stockholm doesn't open up until stage 4 when we get into the Eastern Front. Action 3. He'll draw again. So Tresckow will draw. Slow News Day. Fast action, discard this card. Don't draw an event this turn. Stage 2's event, our last Stage 2 event. Assassin caught. George Elser admits to planting a bomb at the Burger Brokeler where Hitler was speaking. The conspirator nearest to Hitler raises their suspicion to high. Actually, conspirators, possibly. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. That'll be Loringhoven, who will raise his suspicion to high. And then Hitler moves to the Chancellery again. Okay. So that's over to Loringhoven now. We'll move action 1 to Hanover. Action 2, if any deputy is present, -2 suspicion, you only for any item. What doesn't he need? He doesn't need the keys right now, so we'll use that. We'll use that to bump his suspicion by 2, and immediately nope back out to the train station. I forgot to move the key event for stage 2 over. Not that I think it's staying there long, because now we're drawing a stage 3 event. Jews targeted, indeed. All Polish Jews are required to wear a yellow Star of David at all times. All conspirators raise their motivation by 1 and move Himmler to Warsaw and reveal the item there. So all of that can return to the box. Because that's all of stage 2. And then everybody has their motivation raised by 1. Loringhoven is now reckless, and Tresckow is now committed. Himmler moves to Warsaw, and we reveal the item there. So we will find weapons, which could be useful if we decide to try the lone gunman on against Hitler. Over to Tresckow next, and now stage 3's opened up Anlage Sud, Prague, Posen, Warsaw, and Wolfschanze. Let's see, so what does Tresckow want to do here? He doesn't really need to do much of anything right now, I don't think. Hess would make him discard a card. Truth be told, I think Loringhoven is pretty much ready to try the plot for Goering, as long as Goering stays put in Adlerhorst or ends up in a fortified space at the end of any movement. What to do? Action 1, I think he'll draw a card. So he will draw. Vital information. Action, discard this card. Choose a card from the discard pile and add it to your dossier. Is there anything we want right now out of the discard pile? We could use acts of sedition to knock Hitler's military support down, but I'm more worried about I'd be more worried about that if I thought I was ready to go after Hitler now, which I am not, spoiler alert. Let's see, action 2. I will move him to the train station. Action 3 to Posen. This could impact my turn, but let's see what happens here. Stage 3. Invasion of Norway. German forces invade neutral Norway. And of course the key event text is on the top of the card, but the key event is not in play. We raise Hitler's military support by 1, but it's already as high as it can go, so nothing to be done there. Now over to Loringhoven. Could we try? I think we are going to try the plot on Goering, actually. Remember, Goering is our trusted lieutenant for this game. So action 1, and he's at reckless motivation, so we can go for it. Action 1, he'll move to Hanover. Action 2 down to Adlerhorst, which is a fortified space, and that's where Goering needs to be. That's where he needs to be in order to try the suitcase bomb. So we'll build up the... So we'll bring the plot center stage, and then I'll build up the elements for that. So we are in the same space as Goering, and it's a fortified space, which gives us a die. We're Wehrmacht, which gives us another die. We'll toss in explosives to get the third die. And we've got a badge that I don't think I need to discard to this, since I can already roll 2 eagles safely. Yeah, we'll toss a badge in anyway. This way I can't be arrested no matter what happens on the plot. So we'll bring the tower in. Actually, let me bring it up just a little bit so I can get it a bit better. There we go. So we've got 3 dice against Goering's military support of 2, which is what you always roll, which is what I always roll against the deputies anyway. And thanks to the badge, even if I roll 3 eagles, I can't be arrested because the badge lets me ignore 1. As it is, I can roll 2 eagles safely. So let's see what we get here. Okay, let's walk through the plot in order. So first we check the eagles and the targets, and we check the current suspicion limit. We didn't roll any eagles, so the plot doesn't fail. The plot isn't detected yet. Number of eagles below, so we were below. Number of lower than military support, plot fails but isn't detected. But we rolled enough targets to match the military support of 2 for Goering, so we have assassinated Goering already, which means once we assassinate Hitler, we win the game. So Goering can be returned to the box at this point. I thought I had... Oh, I might just throw everything in here. Actually, no, I've got another bag in here. Here we go. Where I keep the difficulties and the deputies. As you can see, I am playing on standard difficulty, and we just took Goering out. So any event card from now on that references Goering, we just ignore the Goering part of that. As kind of a penalty as well, I also remove the suitcase bomb from the game. The reason I do that is because thematically, the way I kind of work through the logic on that is the Gestapo is going to find out at some point that a deputy was assassinated in that same method. So in theory, they'd be wise to it if we try it a second time. So that's why I remove it from the game on a successful plot attempt. Now granted, the good thing is the deputy getting taken out, but like I said, thematic reason. If the order was reversed and I had taken out Hitler with that plot, I would do the same thing for the same reason. Hopefully that word salad all made sense. Now we're getting set for stage 3. Let's see what we've got here. Berghof retreat. This is why the Berghof is one of the most dangerous spaces in the game. Hitler enjoys a visit to the mountains. Hitler, Himmler, Goebbels, and Bormann to the Berghof. Let's see. Hitler, Himmler, Goebbels, Bormann. Well, over to Tresckow. I think right now, I want to try to get some dice up on the descent track. Mostly so we can use that as a pocket way to help keep the military support in check. Or get a whole mess of actions back. Alright, that's 4 actions and a target up on the descent track. Which, hopefully we can take advantage of the descent track before we get another Gestapo raid. There's a possibility of 2 Gestapo raids in the in this stage of the deck, and we haven't seen any of them yet. So 4 actions back for Trescow. Let's go 1 to reveal, poison, action 2 to Wolfschanze, 3 to reveal, more weapons, and 4 back to Posen. Stage 3 event, Germany bombed. The RAF sends bombers against targets in Germany. Raise Hitler's military support by 1, which is as high as it can go. While this is the current event, add 1 eagle to all plot attempts. Okay, well, we're not going for a plot here yet. Let's go back to Loringhoven, who just took Goering out. Now we need to rebuild his supplies, though. Which we can go action 1 up to Hanover, 2 to the train station, 3 to Posen, with the plan of picking up that poison next turn. Let's see what we find for our event, though. Sea Lion postponed. Hitler postpones the invasion of Britain after heavy losses during the air campaign. And this is the key event. All conspirators lower their motivation by 1. So Loringhoven goes down to committed, and Trescow drops to motivated. Which means Trescow now can't try the derailed train. Over to Trescow. Well, since I can use multiple poisons on the poison food, I will have Trescow pass the poison over to Loringhoven. Then action 2, he'll move over to Warsaw, and action 3, grab the weapons. Yes. Then our next card, London bombed. The Luftwaffe conducts bombing raids over London. Raise Hitler's military support by 1. Move Hesse to Prague and reveal the item there. So Sea Lion goes there. That's now the active event. Hesse goes to Prague. And we reveal more weapons. Wow. Weapons for days right around here as we start heading east. Over to Loringhoven, who will try to conspire. He'll put all 3 of his actions into this. I'm more interested in getting the target on the descent track than I am necessarily about lowering his motivation, because he's obviously as low as he can go. Unfortunately, the Eagle will get rid of the resistance network. It'll also raise his suspicion by 1, but he will put a die up on the descent track. All 3 of those will come back, and we'll put Trescow's motivation back up to committed. And then we'll get a die back on the descent track, which, if we draw a Gestapo raid, just won't matter. But let's see what event we draw for stage 3. Visit from Goering. Goering conducts an unscheduled inspection of local Luftwaffe installations. Move Goering to the space with the nearest conspirator or conspirators. If that conspirator is alone, they may discard any number of items. For each item discarded in this way, they lower their suspicion by 1. Let's see, Goering's... Actually, never mind, Goering's dead. So that doesn't actually do anything. That's essentially a blank, so yeah, thank God we got rid of Goering in this case. Over to Trescow, who... -3 suspicion distributed for intel, but he doesn't have any intel to dump there. So he will conspire. This early in the game, we're not necessarily interested... Well, I was going to say, we're not necessarily interested in lowering Hitler's military support, but that's actually kind of a lie. Two actions and 2 targets will do it, though. So we will actually push the down button on Hitler's military support. And then 2 actions. Let's get the dice tower out of the way so we can see what we're doing with those 2 actions. Let's see, for 2 actions... let's see, 2 actions. He will move 1 to Posen, 2 to the train station. Sure, why not? Event for stage 3 is the Western Offensive. The stage's key event is in play, so we discard that and draw again. Visit from Hitler. Hitler requests an immediate meeting to discuss the Western Offensive. Hitler to the space with the nearest conspirators. Well, that's Trescow. If that conspirator is alone, they may set both suspicion and motivation to their starting values. Hitler goes makes friends with Trescow. He could try the derailed train theoretically, but against a military support of 6, he'd only be re-rolling 3 dice. Yeah, we're not going to do that. So he's going to leave both his motivation and suspicion at their present values. He's at committed motivation and medium and low suspicion, so we're going to leave that alone. Moving over to Loringhoven, he would be rolling 1, 2, 3, 4 dice against a military support of 6. I think he's just going to start stockpiling supplies. Action 1 to grab poison. Action 2 over to Warsaw. Action 3 to Anlaj Sud. Stage 3 is a Gestapo raid. Conspirators at extreme suspicion are arrested. That's nobody. For each illegal card, either discard it or keep it and raise their suspicion by 1. Loringhoven's going to discard the forged release orders. Trescow is going to discard both the high-ranking informant and the military secrets. And then all dice on the descent track are returned. As you can see, that is none. Alright, then we're over to Trescow. The deputy penalty for Hitler being there. Motivated is he drops motivation by 1. Let's go. Let's go ahead and conspire and hope I get some actions back so I can move away from Hitler. This is probably a bad idea, but YOLO, right? Theoretically, I want to try to get as far away from Hitler as I can. I also want to get some targets back up on the descent track so I can push the down button again on his military support, which right now is at 6. The dice tower kind of knocked that out. Let's see, we get 2 targets and 2 actions. Okay, good thing we had the Gestapo raid last turn. Well, with 2 actions back, that makes Trescow's first order of business very easy. Action 1, he's going to nope away from Hitler. And Action 2, he'll reveal the item at Nuremberg. He will find another signature. And our Stage 4 event is a visit from Goebbels. Goebbels orders the closing of businesses not essential to the war effort. Move Goebbels to the space of the nearest conspirator, which once again, that is Trescow. And all civilians lower their motivation by 1. Fortunately, we're both Wehrmacht, so motivation does not get lowered. But now we are in Stage 4, which now opens up spaces to the west, Wolfschlucht, and Paris, along with more spaces on the eastern front. Auschwitz, Treblinka, Riga, and Stockholm now open up as well. Yikes. That seems mildly problematic. Okay, so now we're back over to Loringhoven's turn. Action 1, he'll reveal the item at Anlaj Sud. He will find a signature. Action 2, he's going to move down to Vienna. Action 3, he'll grab the poison. Hitler needs to get back to Berlin before Loringhoven can even try the plot. Stage 4, Yugoslavia surrenders. Yugoslavia is conquered by the Wehrmacht. Hitler's military support by 1 gets increased by 1. Himmler to Paris. That'll bring us over to Tresckow next. And Goebbels cancels his ability, so I'm going to rule that he can't carry the additional item, which means he's going to discard the badge. Then he'll move, action 1, he'll move to Adlerhorst. And action 2, he's going to conspire with his 2 remaining actions. And raises suspicion by 2. I was hoping for at least one more target so I could get the dice off the descent track before they become vulnerable to a Gestapo raid, which we've got the potential for 2 in stage 4. Let's see what we find. Hitler assumes command. Hitler takes direct control of all Wehrmacht operations. Lower Hitler's military support by 1, which brings that down to 6. Move Hitler to Wolfschanze and reveal the item there. That moves him over to Wolfschanze, where we've already revealed weapons. Okay, that brings us over to Loringhoven, who now can't try the plot. Can't try his plot because Hitler's not in Berlin. Hess is in Prague. Let's see. So Loringhoven, action 1. Actually, actions 1 and 2, he's going to move over to Tannenberg. Action 3, he's going to draw a card. He will draw poison gas in the same space as Hitler and a fortified space for a die. Abwehr gets an additional die. Poison can use multiple elements. Keys for another die. Right now he'd be probably be using the poison food to roll 1, 4, 5 dice. But we need an event first. So let's see what we find here. Pearl Harbor attacked. Okay. Hitler declares war on the United States after the attack by the Japanese. I'm very surprised this is not the key event. Lower Hitler's military support by 1. Remove the next 3 Stage 4 event cards from the game without revealing them. And remove the Hess deputy token from the game. This is why when I roll for the Trusted Lieutenant, I don't include Hess in the roll. Because there are cards that can make Hess leave the board, which Hess is right here. So Hess is now out of the game. Which means if we had Hess as our Trusted Lieutenant, we would have just lost by not being able to assassinate him. So Hess is now out of the game. Then over to Tresckow, his ability is now turned on again. Let's see. We still have everything we would need. Actually, let's start off with a Conspire with Tresckow. See if I can get more. See if I can get that military, get another die up there, and either push his motivation or get the military support down. All right, the Eagle pushes him up to extreme suspicion, so he's vulnerable to a Gestapo raid. But the target goes up. Which takes him off the descent track. And I'm going to push Hitler's military support down, just in case something brings, and we do get a target up on the descent track. I'm pushing the military support down, just in case we're able to get Hitler back to Berlin, which we're not in a stage of the war, if I remember my history correctly, because Black Orchestra roughly follows the history of the war. He won't start going back to Berlin until probably when we get back into stage 6. But you never know. I may get lucky with a card. So here we will find Africa Corps. Rommel begins his campaign in North Africa. Raise Hitler's military support by 1, which is unfortunate. Bormann and Goebbels to Prague. Bormann, Goebbels to Prague. Okay, that'll bring us over to Loringhoven. Choose a card from the discard pile and add it. The question is, do I want to pull the... You know what, here, that's stockpile equipment. I think on Trescow's next turn, assuming he's not in jail, assuming he doesn't get sent to prison, we're probably going to have him vital information the lower suspicion card back and then play it. Or I could use the slow news day to not draw an event card this turn to keep him out of jail, which is also a tempting plan. What to do, though? Actually, I think he's going to use his action to reveal cards until we find a plot or an illegal card. Which that's an illegal card, Inspiring Speech. Discard this card. All the conspirators in your space, including you, raise their motivation by 1. That was action 1. Action 2 up to Adlerhorst. Action 3, discard it to bring Loringhoven up to Reckless and Trescow up to Committed. Unfortunately, Trescow is still vulnerable to a Gestapo raid. Which that is not. Visit from Himmler. Himmler continues secret investigations in the area. Move Himmler to the space with the nearest conspirator or conspirators. Actually... Since an event is moving Himmler, I wonder if I try the plot. Let's see, that would be 1. He's committed now. 2 for a map. Never mind that plan. I just realized that he's at extreme suspicion. So yeah, no, I think we're just going to have to bite the bullet and have Himmler come in. The reason I was thinking about using the plot on Himmler, using the derailed train, is because it's also going to lower Wehrmacht motivation by 1. So essentially, getting that Inspiring Speech was wasted unless I want to use it again here. Which his suspicion goes up by 1. That's bad. I think we've got to plan on trying to knock his motivation down. So I think we will go action 1, action 2 with special ability is keys, which we can immediately pick up. And unfortunately, he's not Abwehr, so we don't get the text -2 suspicion, you only for any item. And then action 3, we... I think do we vital information? No, I think we'll draw a card instead. So he will draw a hidden bomb. Hitler not in a fortified space is a required element. Civilian, explosives, and keys. And now we gotta hope for no whammy, no whammy, no whammy on this card, because this could very well be a Gestapo raid. It is not. We dodged it there. Hitler convenes a general conference on the war. Move Hitler and all deputies to Anlage Sud and reveal the item there. So everybody that's left on the board is going to move to Anlage Sud. Which actually helps us out, because now it means Loringhoven isn't going to have his suspicion raised by 1. So that was actually very helpful, and it kind of freed my hands up a little bit. So now I'm going to conspire, as I want to start working a little bit more now on Hitler's military support. Because now I think we're near a stage of the war where, as we start pushing Hitler's military support down, in theory it should stay down. I mean, there are ways it'll come back up, but it should be starting into a general downward trend at this point. Let's see what we can get here. Hopefully we can take advantage of the 2 dice up there already. Well, unfortunately, we roll an eagle, so that's not good. That's going to bump his suspicion up. That will put a target up, but it'll give us 3 actions back. Action 1. We don't have any extra intel on the board yet. Let's go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take a chance that Hitler and company are not going to come to the Berghof. Let's see what happens in stage 5. Lebensraum. Okay, the stage's key event is not in play. Rumors of horrific mass killings begin to filter in from the Eastern Front. All conspirators raise their motivation by 1. Himmler to Wasserburg and reveal the item there. So everybody's motivation goes up by 1. Himmler to Wasserburg and we reveal the item. So here we find a map. But more importantly, since that is a stage 5 card, now we're in stage 5, and now the last few spaces open up. So Werwolf, Borisov, Smolensk, and Wasserburg are now open to us. Okay, now that brings us over to Tresckow, who is way over here in Bumblefrick nowhere. Card from the discard pile, add it to your dossier. We need to get our suspicion down pronto. Which I think, yep, this will work perfectly. So vital information, so action 1, vital information will pull back stalled investigation, which I'll immediately play to lower everybody's lower everybody's suspicion by 1. And then action 3, he will draw a card. So he will draw. Quick reaction. Fast, discard this card. Reroll 1 die during any plot attempt. And then state our next event is the Gestapo raid. Nobody's at extreme suspicion thanks to Tresckow going and getting that stalled investigation. We don't have any illegal cards, but we do lose our dice from the descent track. That's unfortunate. We do have the possibility of 3 Gestapo raids in this stage. We may have nailed 1 or 2 of them during setup. I'm not willing to bet on that, though. Let's see, over to Loringhoven. Anlage Sud is a fortified space, but I'm way the hell over here in Berghof. So action 1, let's reveal this. We'll find intel, which Tresckow could use. Action 2, I'll move him to Munich. Action 3, up to Nuremberg. Stage 5, our next event, is another Gestapo raid. Nobody's at extreme suspicion, no illegal cards, and no dice on the descent track. So that's already 2 Gestapo raids, which theoretically means we could be just free at this point in stage 5. Over to Tresckow. Let's start with Conspire. This would have been a lot more useful with multiple dice up on the descent track, but we'll take what we can get here. Let's see, that's a target and 3 actions back. Okay, that's not nothing. Let's go. I keep wanting to put the dice tower back down on the right side of the board, but that's not where I want it to go. Let's go action 1 to Wolfschlucht, action 2 to Hanover, action 3 to the train station. And then we will draw. Heydrich assassinated. Reinhard Heydrich is assassinated in Prague by the resistance. Move Hitler and all deputies to the Chancellery. All conspirators in Prague at high or extreme suspicion are arrested. Fortunately, nobody is in Prague. So everybody goes to the Chancellery. Probably for the funeral of Heydrich. And I've seen, there's a world history documentary on one of the channels, one of the YouTube channels about this stuff I watch, where Heydrich was actually riding in an open-air convertible, flaunting security regulations. The wounds initially weren't mortal, but he succumbed to them later on. The architect of the Holocaust, as he's been called. Over to Loringhoven. Actually, now Hitler's back in Berlin. I think I'm going to try to knock Hitler's military support down. I think I'm going to try to knock it down again before I go after him. So let's bring the dice tower in shot and start off with a conspire. There's a target and 3 actions. That'll help. I want to keep the 2 of them apart so that one conspire doesn't play games with the other one. Action 1, he's going to draw a card. He will draw. Slow News Day, which we could use to keep Hitler in place if I need to. Action 2, let's draw another card. I want to get some stuff to help with the plot. Decrypt Communication. Action, discard this card, reveal the next 2 cards, and next 2 event cards, and either remove one from the game and place the other face down on top of its deck, or place both face down on top of their event decks in any order. 3 will use that. So, what do I want this turn? I'm going to try to conspire one more time, because Loringhoven will be rolling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dice against a military support of 5. So I'm trying to think what I want here. Do I want to keep Hitler in place while I try to knock the military support down at least one more point? So I guess that's the question of, do I think I'm going for this now? Do I think I'm going to go for it now? Let's see what the events are first. Action, or so a card 1 from Decrypt Communication is Rommel defeated. The Afrika Korps routed at El Alamein. Lower Hitler's military support by 1. Remove the next 2 Stage 5 event cards from the deck. Don't reveal those cards. Ooh. That'll be a card I want. And the other one, Visit from Goering. Move Goering to the space of the nearest conspirators. All Abwehr lower their motivation by 1. Well, this could set me up nicely, because Rommel defeated will knock his military support down by 1, and hopefully the Conspire will let me knock it down another 1, and the next 2 Stage 5 cards out of the game. Visit from Goering is effectively a blank. So I think the way I want this to go, let's see, that was the... So it was action 1 to draw, 2 to play Decrypt Communication. I think I want both of these cards. The only question is, what order do I want them in? I think I want to draw Visit from Goering first. So I'm going to put Visit from Goering first, and then Rommel defeated. That way I've got another turn before I need to worry about figuring out, do I need to keep Hitler in place? Then action 3, let's draw another card. So he will draw. Convincing Alibi. Action, discard this card to lower your suspicion by 1. Okay. And then for the event card this turn, we get the aforementioned Visit from Goering. Goering arrives to punish unfaithful party officials. That's effectively a blank because we have assassinated Goering already. So that's very welcome. Okay. Now over to Trescow. He's going to put all three of his actions into a conspire. See if we can get another target up on the descent track to lower Hitler's military support. Three actions, two targets, that'll do. So I'll just leave the two targets up there, and we will push the down button on Hitler's military support. Three actions back. Let's see, what do I want to do with these three actions back? Well, we have... So I know we've got Rommel defeated on top. We're going to have two more cards in stage 5. And we can keep Hitler and we can skip drawing 2. So 3 back. Let's go... Let's go 1 to have Trescow draw a card. Delay Hitler. Okay, we could use a fast and discard this card. When an event would cause Hitler to leave his space, cancel that movement. Hitler remains in his current space. Resolve the rest of the event as usual. So we've got a lot of ways we can keep Hitler in place. Action 2. I don't think I'm going to use the hidden bomb, so I'm going to draw another card. I'll discard the hidden bomb to this. Another delay Hitler. So yeah. Hitler basically isn't going anywhere until we allow him to. Action 3. We could discard the derail train as well, because I think we're going to try for poison food. Again, the question is, are we going to try it now? And I think the answer to that... Well, we're going to try it soon. Action 3, we're going to draw a card. We'll discard derail train. Find a distant contact. Action, discard this card. Choose one item in any space, whether revealed or unrevealed, and add it to your conspirator sheet. So we'll get that out of the way. And then the stage 5 card, the aforementioned Rommel defeated. The Afrika Korps routed at El Alamein. Hitler's military support goes down by 1. We remove the next 2 stage 5 event cards from the game without revealing those. Okay. Let's see, with his military support at 3... Let's see, choose an item from the discard pile. We'll probably need that to rebuild cards. After... Actually, we'll probably... Stockpile equipment, we'll need that to grab items if this plot goes sideways on us. Action 1, we'll use a convincing alibi to lower suspicion by 1, so he's down to low. Action 2... Do I just go for it at this point? I think the answer is yes, we're going to go for it. Actually, no, we can't go for it. Action 2 to the train station. Action 3, he'll draw a card, so he will draw. Covert operation. Fast action, discard this card to ignore the 1 eagle from the result of any plot attempt. And then our event for stage 5. Actually, do I want to draw an event card? No, I don't think I do. I think I want to keep Hitler in place here. So we're going to use Loringhoven's Slow News Day, which says we don't draw an event card this turn. Okay. So that brings us back to Trescow, as I forgot to move the token over. Action 1, he will give Trescow, he'll give Loringhoven the quick reaction to re-roll a die during a plot attempt. Action 2, he will give him... Actually, he'll draw a card as well before I decide what I'm going to give him. Before I decide if I'm going to give him anything else. History repeats. Discard this card to shuffle all discarded cards back into the conspirator deck, then add the top card to your dossier. Action 3, I will give him the distant contact. And then we're going to use Treskow's Slow News Day. So similarly, we're not drawing a conspirator card or an event card this turn. Over to Loringhoven, and here's our moment of truth. Action 1, he is going to move into the Chancellery, and Action 2, he's going to attempt a plot. So he's going to use poison food. He's in the same space as Hitler, and Hitler's in a Berlin space, which the Chancellery is a Berlin space. We get a die for that. We're not a civilian, so we don't get the bonus die there. We are going to use 3 poison for 3 additional dice. For 3 additional dice, and we're going to use the intel as well for another die. So we are rolling 5 dice against Hitler's military support of 3. We have a reroll. We can roll up to 2 eagles safely, and I've got a card that lets me ignore 1. So in theory, I can roll up to 3 eagles safely. Normally at low suspicion at 3, I would fail the plot. But because of my aforementioned covert operation, I can ignore an eagle from a plot attempt. So this is why I can roll up to 3 eagles safely. But we need 3 targets to win the game and assassinate Hitler. So let's see what happens here. Okay, well, no need for any of the mitigation there. So we go through and check everything. We'll use the covert operation because why the hell not? So the 2 eagles means we effectively ignore 1 of them, which means we only roll 1 eagle, and we could have rolled up to 2 safely. So that means the plot is not detected. We rolled 3 targets against a military support of 3 for Hitler, which means we have managed to poison Hitler. His food taster must have been napping on the job, and we have managed to win this game and assassinate Hitler. So that will do it for this playthrough of Black Orchestra. Man, you feel the tension of this game. This game does a great job of evoking that thematic tension. I really enjoy it in that regard. So, and the narrative actually does kind of come out here as well a bit. It's not as intuitive as something like, say, your Hunters or America Bot, well, any Greg Smith game, or even Undaunted, but there's definitely narrative that you can pull out of this game. And the event cards, I think, give you a loose enough narrative that even if it is faithful to the history, the events, I think, work enough where you're able to follow them somewhat out of order, but everything comes together in that regard. And it's a very straightforward game as well. Even the Trusted Lieutenant variant gives it an element of challenge that I think this game kind of needs a little bit. But I'm rambling a bit. That'll do it for this playthrough of Black Orchestra. And now my War Room list is completely done for this year. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up on the channel. Next week, we will have a brand new debut game on the channel as we play PentaQuest next week. Before that, though, Friday we're going to have yet another debut on the channel as we play Western Front Ace by Compass Games. Saturday, Mystical Munchies will continue out of the Star Wars Life Day cookbook as we make the side Roshir Bramble. Sunday, we're having we are at long last having our rescheduled game of Ark Nova. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.